Marinaro, the Sick Podcast. We're talking hockey, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this one because Jason Demers was raised in Dorval, Quebec, and here I am in Ville-Salle, a hop, skip, and a jump away. Mind you, he's in Arizona right now as we speak. How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you doing? It really is a hop, skip away, that's for sure. It's close.
When was the last time you were in Dorval?
I was down in Dorval probably last summer. I was down. My brother's out there. My parents live in Quebec City right now.
Okay.
And my brother still lives in Montreal. He owns a bunch of bars and restaurants down in Montreal. So
is that right? Okay, so you come to Montreal, you hang out in Dorval, and you'd rather hang out with your brother than me. All right.
He wins. He makes good drinks and stuff like that. That's why. So unless you're a good mixologist.
No, that I can't. Mind you, I will introduce you to this over here while we're on the topic. Cherry River Hard Seltzer, only 90 calories, natural flavors, no preservatives, now available in Quebec grocery stores and the beer stores. So, Jason, here's to you, a career that has spanned over 10 or 11 years, maybe even 12. So here's wishing you many more.
Beautiful. I might even have to throw my own plug. Me and my brother opened Cold Beer Biafouet.
Good for you.
We got a Quebec beer store down there. So we probably have that on tap. We have over 500 beers. So look at that. We're just plugging everything here today.
Good for you. Why not? All right. I saw that you gave your opinion on Twitter on Christian Dvorak, and that coupled with, Jason, good old boy from Montreal. There's a lot to talk to you about. So I want to get to Dvorak, but I want to talk to you starting off here. You are without a contract right now as we speak. Pro camp opens up in just over a week. Is this the most nervous you've been since you entered the National Hockey League?
I mean, it's hard to be more nervous than playing like a Western Conference final game, like your first year in the league. And I've had some big games to play in. I mean, I was a little bit nervous early, and then the more this is kind of going on, I'm just trying to stay present in the moment, not think too far ahead. I mean, listen, it's a business. I understand that, as of the last few years, once you get over 30, it's kind of a crapshoot, and teams seem to want to go younger and more cost effective. But I know I can still play. I'm not worried. I'm ready to play, and when a team needs me, I'll be there. So if I have to wait a little bit, it's just part of the job, and I just got to make sure I stay ready and stay focused and not, because otherwise I'm just going to make myself go crazy sitting here at home and wondering every minute if it's going to happen. I'm going to get the call. So, that's what agents are for. And that's why I just got to control what I can control right now.
It's a Sick Podcast. The show's brought to you by Essentia, the world's only natural memory foam mattress. Go to myessentia.com/sickpod. Use code SickPod for a free pillow with your purchase. Essentia, beyond organic sleep. All right. So if teams are sleeping, Jason Demers wants to let you know, wake up, because he's waiting by the phone. You spent I think the last 4 seasons in Arizona. Yeah. You're in Arizona right now. You spent your off season there. I know you love it there. How difficult is it for you, even though you said it's a business, how difficult is it for you to move on from a place that you love?
I've played on 4 teams now, and I'm pretty comfortable with kind of dissociating when it's time to play in the season, the only focus is hockey, and it doesn't really matter where you're living. I just want to win and be in a good spot. So, I love where I'm living in terms of the house and the community here, but, knowing that I have to pick up and move and play somewhere else, it doesn't bother me too much. So.
You talked about 4 teams drafted in the 7th round, 186th overall in 2008 by the San Jose Sharks, and then several seasons in San Jose, made your way to Dallas for 2 seasons, Florida for a season, Arizona, like we talked about, for the last 4 seasons. Which city did you like most? And why?
It's kind of weird because every city I was in a different point in my career in my life. San Jose was amazing because, it was my first 5 years in the league. It's kind of where I grew up. I had a great group of veterans around me, and I really loved the city and my time there. And then Dallas was kind of when I took on a bigger role and was able to kind of be part of entrenched kind of in the top 4 role. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, it's not a team. So I thought it was Montreal. I thought it was Bergevin for a second. So it's not. So we'll mute it.
Has he called you yet?
No. We're waiting. I'm just putting a bug in his ear, maybe, hopefully, because I know the media runs Montreal. So, hold on a second. You open the door. I'm going to walk right through it. A lot of people are worried about playing for their hometown team. Like I said, you're a Montreal boy. Were you a Canadiens fan before you entered the National Hockey League? Yeah, I mean, of course, I was. My grandfather and my dad wouldn't let me live it down if I wasn't. It was always on when I was growing up, and they were always yelling at the TV. So anytime they weren't winning, so I got used to that rabid fan base, and of course, early on in my career, I wasn't really in tune to playing with it, just because I kind of liked what I was doing, playing in San Jose and in Dallas and stuff like that, and playing in the States. But kind of the older I get, I was like, I'd love eventually to have a crack at playing with the team and wearing the colors, especially for for me and for my family and all that.
If teams are still uncertain or they have a lot of guys on their contract, would you be open to a PTO?
I mean, if I have to prove myself, it's not something that I ever thought I would be saying I was going to do, but
I don't think you should, by the way. I think you're well established 12 years in, but just curious.
Again, if it happens, it happens. And that's kind of a decision I'm going to have to make. We'll see if we get a call, but I'm also comfortable in staying ready and waiting. And when teams kind of see they're missing something, which they usually are, I'm ready to kind of jump in. So
let's say if the Canadiens did call you and say, Jason, we want you. We got a contract for you, X amount of years, X amount of dollars. Would you jump at it right away, or would it require a conversation with your girlfriend, your family? Would there be something that would scare you even a little bit?
Not really, because my family and my girlfriend kind of knows that I weigh all my options, but when I make a decision, it's pretty linear and I'm straightforward with it. So they would, whatever I decided, they'd be fine with, and vice versa for me. So
that's pretty cool. So getting back to the question I asked you before, and I would imagine there are things you liked in every city and maybe things you didn't like in every city. But of all the teams you played for, the city you liked the most and the city you liked the least?
Oh, the city. I mean, I'd have to say right now, the city I like the most, just in terms of city, not organization by any stretch, but it was Arizona. And then probably the least was, I'd signed that 5-year deal in Florida, and the city is great, but it was kind of a rough year, that whole year, in terms of the GM had changed, and we had a lot of guys get injured right away, and then Gallant got fired in that weird way, and it wasn't a great season all around in terms of for the guys around the room, and I'm surprised that the guys held together as well as we did that year. But I mean, it was a rough year for sure.
If you want to buy a jersey with one of Jason's former teams, whether it's San Jose, Dallas, Florida, or Arizona, sportbuffshop.com for all of your officially licensed sports apparel, and even our Sick merch. Use code SICK15 for 15% off on all of their items. The coach you most enjoyed playing for was who?
Oh, the coach I most enjoyed playing for. So the longest coach I had was Todd McClellan, who I really loved. Him and Trent Yawney were really great. And then I also loved playing for Gerard Gallant. It was a short time; it was 20 games, but him and Scotty Allen, they're just amazing coaches, and it was really a fun time playing for those guys.
That firing was crazy. Like, I remember like it was yesterday, right? It was soon. It was right away. And I think he had to take a flight, and he got off the plane. He took a cab or something, or what do you remember from that story?
Well, I was just in Carolina. We were leaving the rink after, and he was getting in a cab. It was weird. It was awkward. It's something I'd never seen or heard of before. So, and especially kind of we were kind of we had a ton of injuries and we were still 500, and we had some guys that were starting to come back. So it was a little bit of a weird timing. I mean, I don't know the insides of what was going on and if it was anything other than, performance, but it was weird for sure.
All right. Christian Dvorak, you had a chance to play with him for the last couple of years. Of course, the Montreal Canadiens acquired him after deciding not to match the offer sheet to Jesperi Kotkaniemi that the Carolina Hurricanes made him. So Dvorak comes here. What can you tell us about him?
I mean, I have a soft spot for that kid for sure. I mean, I came in it was his second year, so I've kind of seen his game evolve and him evolve as a person. And I mean, you're going to expect a guy that he plays a very honest game. He's a great face-off guy. He's can play both sides of the puck, which is really important for a centerman. And I think his offense, we played a very defensive style here in Arizona. So I think his offense has another level that in Montreal could really help him grow for sure.
Really?
Yeah. So I think there's more offense to be had out of him. He's great on the power play in front of the net. He does a lot of those kind of dirty jobs for a guy that's, considered a skill guy that, you wouldn't see often. And, he's good defensively. He's very responsible. You can ask kind of any defenseman on our team, anytime you have a centerman where it's like, defensemen will understand it. It's very easy to break out the puck with him because he's always in the right spot. So you never really have to look. Mm-hmm. He's right there. So he's going to be, I think he's going to do well. He's one of those guys that doesn't really get shaken easily. So I think that the pressure there is in Montreal, it won't affect him. So
when the Montreal Canadiens acquired Phillip Danault initially from the Chicago Blackhawks, he was relatively unknown. He was unproven, and he became Phil Danault in Montreal, a very good two-way player, known as one of the better two-way players, better defensive players in the National Hockey League. Can Christian Dvorak take that next step? And a couple of years from now, people will talk about him the way they're talking about Phillip Danault as a top 5, top 6, top 7, top defensive player in the National Hockey League, in your opinion?
I think so. I think, what he might not be as defensively minded as Phil, but I think he's going to have more offense than Phil. And I really like Phil as a player. I think he's a good player, and I know him a little bit, and he works hard. He's a great kid. But I think what, Devo he might be a little bit less on the defensive side, but he's going to give you more offensively. And I mean, those face-offs are, it's really a big thing when, over 50% of the time when he's on the ice, you're starting with the puck. That's a huge thing. And especially when you're setting up offense and plays and power play, I think it's going to help a lot.
There are a lot of people who are hoping that Christian Dvorak can do what Max Domi did when traded to the Montreal Canadiens. Domi, I think, had a couple of seasons of 9 goals, had never really put up points. And he joins the Montreal Canadiens and he explodes for goals in the mid-20s, I think. He exploded for 72 points, ended up taking a step back, but had a huge increase in production. You just talked about the tight defensive style, or more of a defensive style you had in Arizona. And you said there's more to Christian Dvorak's offensive game. A little bit more? Or can he actually explode?
I mean, I think he can give you more for sure. Whether a lot of things go into whether you can kind of explode and hit that 70-point mark. But, Max had those points, but I think, Christian's better on the defensive side than Max. I played with Max. He's a great kid. I like him as a player. But, he might not have that full offensive production, but he's going to be more responsible than Max. So he's kind of right in the middle of those two, which is, I think, something that as a second line center, that's what you need. You have Nick, you have Suzuki in Montreal, who I think is a stud. And that's going to be your high profile guy with Cole. And I think having, Toffoli and Devo on your second line is going to be a really responsible line that puts the puck in the net as well. So it's going to be something it's going to be a good balance that I don't think Montreal has had in terms of two centermen that could put the puck in the net, but they're both responsible in their own end.
You know that the second that you talked about Nick Suzuki being a stud, people in Montreal are celebrating. Okay, so we got a company here. They're one of our partners. They're called Sophistication Event Rentals, live music, DJs, sound systems, tents, chairs, tables, decor, lighting, photo booth, TV screens, 514-570-5770. And you can have a big party. When they heard you say that, they're all excited because they love when people around the National Hockey League say good things about their players. How much have you watched Suzuki over the last couple of years? How much did you watch him in the playoffs? And how good, having played against him, do you think he can be?
I mean, listen, I watched him in that whole playoff run, and you know, I was surprised. You know, I didn't expect him to be that much of a gamer, and he's got a little bit of an edge to him, which I think is huge. And he's so talented with the puck. So, but seeing that edge, and you know, he took some big hits in that playoff series, and gave it right back, and didn't back down. So, I mean, that's a huge thing for any kind of a player, especially when you're playing out east and you play those big teams out west. You know, to be able to kind of stand up and play, and you know, I don't think anybody had them to beat Vegas by any stretch. And I thought they outplayed him, and I think Nick was a huge part of that for sure.
Cole Caulfield, not a big guy. That's why he went 15th overall in the draft, despite crushing goal-scoring records and stuff like that. Scored 4 goals in 10 regular season games, made his mark in the playoffs as well. Can this player be an Alex DeBrincat type player in your opinion? Can he be a Rookie of the Year candidate this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a chance. He's very, like you said, very opportunistic, and I think when he gets his chances, he scores. You know, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to benefit from good line mates. You know, because he's a little bit smaller, and you know, I'm sure he's heard that a million times, but you know, he's going to be that guy that's going to, you know, be able to. He's going to need guys like Nick and you know, maybe it is tough on the right side that are responsible enough for him that he can kind of cheat like he did in the playoffs and get his chances, because he doesn't need many chances to put the puck in the net, which I don't think the Canadiens have had, you know, for a while now. Just a guy that, you know, only you might not see him for the game and he'll have one chance and put it in. So I think that's the talent that he has, and I think that's something he can build on. I think he's a little bit quicker than DeBrincat too. So
I'm going to put you on the spot here, but you answer questions with ease, so I know you can take it. All right, you ready for some speed questions?
Let's do it.
McDavid or McKinnon?
Ooh, McKinnon. I played against McKinnon so much. I love McKinnon.
Over the course of their career, Crosby or Ovechkin?
Crosby.
The best two-way player in the league?
That I've played against, or right now?
Right now.
Right now, best two-way player. Jeez Louise. I mean, Sid's up there for sure. I'd probably say Sid.
Best defenseman in the NHL?
I love Victor Hedman.
Best goalie in the NHL?
I mean, you got to give it. I mean, people have slept on Vasilevsky now for 2 years, so I would say Vasilevsky or I mean, I love Fleury too. I don't think Vegas gets anywhere near where they got the last 2-3 years without Fleury.
The next, you know, the young player that you just so look forward to watching over the next couple of years.
I'm anxious to see how Kale McCarthy does. I played against him a lot, and I love how he plays, and he's another kid that plays with edge. I'm anxious to see how he grows and what they do there in Colorado with that defensive core. So, you know, I thought they were going to maybe build it out a little bit more defensively because they have all that offensive power, but they went a little bit more offensive through their top 6. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect them. So, because in that playoffs against Vegas, that was the first time that, you know, they kind of got a little bit exposed with just guys going to the net and parking themselves in front of the net. So I'm anxious to see how they do, but I think he's a insane talent and so much skill and such a great skater. So
a really good player that you played against that when the game was over, he said, my God, this guy is like really good. So much so that he's a lot better than people give him credit for, because a lot of people don't talk about him. He doesn't get a lot of credit, but every time you go up against him, you're really impressed. Is there somebody that stands out in that regard?
It's weird with COVID because we played against the same teams all year.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy that I'm kind of always that I always loved and because I played with him too is Riley Smith. Is just anytime you finish a game, you're like, God, that guy, he just does everything right on both sides of the puck, and he's one of those guys. You're like, how's he getting here and how's he getting there? And he's one of those guys for sure.
Is there a coach that intrigues you to the point that this guy intrigues me? I kind of like his style. I'd really like to play for him.
I mean, I played for Gallant and I loved him. Pete DeBoer I always kind of watched him a little bit, and he was somebody that always kind of, and I met him a few times. He was a really nice guy, and he was kind of always somebody that interested me a little bit. Was Pete.
How tough was the last year and a half with COVID and the bubble and the rules and not getting out? I mean, did it ever get to the point for you where you said, I don't know how much longer I could do this anymore? Did it ever get to that point?
I mean, that playoff bubble was tough. That was something that I mean, all the guys that were there could write a book about it, but that was, for me personally, that was a hard one. I'm somebody that needs to move around a little bit, and being kind of locked up with those high fences, you know, kind of encasing us within our two hotels that we could go to, and we only had 2 restaurants, and the only thing you see is hockey players every day, and you want to kill them, and you know, we're all in the same restaurant, hundreds of us together. So it's like, that was something that was pretty surreal. So, but last year, other than the annoyance of testing every day and all that stuff, wasn't too bad. But I mean, it's just not the same when you're not playing with fans. It's just not.
The National Hockey League has asked their coaches and staffers to be vaccinated. It's mandatory. It's not for players. What if they said it should be? Would you be okay with it?
I mean, I listen, that's a touchy one to get into for sure. But I mean, it's pretty much at the point now where you have to be, because I mean, they've pretty much restricted any movement if you're not vaccinated. So if you're not vaccinated, it's, you know, I'm more thought we'd get a little bit more protection from the NHLPA. But I mean, listen, I understand where we are in today's society, and people want to get back to normal life. And listen, it's still a privately owned company, so they can do essentially what they want. The ownership. So you got to adhere to what they say and what the league says. And you know, we might have had some pushback and tried to figure out the best way possible, but everybody's grinding and trying to figure out the best way possible to come back. So, you know, I mean, whatever is decided, we just got to go with it. So, you know, people can he and ha and moan and complain, but with how the league's trying to recoup their money and from the last few years and get fans in the building, which I think is the most important thing. We're in the entertainment industry, and this is entertainment, and fans want to see hockey, and you know, they should be allowed that, especially after the last year and a half of you know, nonsense we've been through. They want to get back to hockey and watching hockey and get a little bit of an escape. So, you know, we could provide that and do it safely. It's the way it is. But, you know, listen, I can't give you much more than that. That's for sure.
No, it's all good though. It really is all good. You talked about playing in front of fans. Can you begin to describe how one hockey player feels going to a rink, taking part in a warm-up, getting ready to play, the game starting, you look around, there's nobody. Like, how much do players feed off of the energy in the building, the crowd, the noise, the fans, and how hard is it when they're not there?
I mean, it's a night and day difference. You know what I mean? Anytime that adrenaline is such a big thing for a hockey player, especially when you're going into a building that's pretty hostile. And if you're on the home side, you know, there's nothing better than coming out and the fans are just going bananas. And, you know, you're playing a rivalry game and you know, you're going to Tampa and it's Florida against Tampa Bay. And it's crazy. Or you're in Dallas and you're going to Nashville and it's just this, or Colorado, and it's Montreal going to Toronto, and it's just this insane buzz because you guys hate each other, and there's just so much history there. I mean, there's no feeling better than that, and nothing gets you. I mean, there's no drug or Red Bull, enough Red Bulls on the planet to get you revved up for that. So it's a huge thing.
You want to do something? You want to say this? I'm Jason Demers.
I'm Jason Demers.
From Dorval, Quebec.
From Dorval, Quebec.
And I would love
to
play for the Montreal Canadiens.
Play for the Montreal Canadiens. Look at you.
There you go.
You're trying to get me there. Yeah.
It's done. You know what? If I get you there, I'm your guy in the media. Don't ever forget that.
Manage. Gotta see, there's other teams too. We never know. There might be teams calling. I don't know. I got to play tight to the chest.
All kidding aside, and I was just having fun with you there because, once again, you are a proven defenseman in the National Hockey League. You've had a great career, Jason. You deserve a lot of credit. You've done really well for yourself. For those who haven't had a chance to see a lot of games last year, what would they be getting in Jason Demers?
I mean, I just, I try to play a two-way role. I didn't produce as much as I wanted to the last year or so. But, again, with our defensive style and the kind of assignments we got, everything was a little bit more defensive. And we were trying to win games 1-0. And everybody kind of suffered offensive production on our team a little bit. So, but, that's what we needed to do to win. So, again, it's whatever we need to do to win and whatever style I got to play. I consider myself pretty versatile in terms of being able to kind of adapt to a system and whatever a team wants me to do. Yeah, I just, one of the boys, want to help guys, move guys along and just be, just have a good time and win. That's all that matters.
I heard you talking football with my producer before the show started. If you could place a bet on MyBookie, you go to mybookie.ag/the Sick Podcast and use code SickPicks to double your deposit. Bet, win, get paid. If someone's listening right now, you're a big football fan.
Yeah.
If you were to give a Super Bowl pick right now, who cannot be the Chiefs and cannot be the Bucks, it would be who?
Ooh, after last week. I mean, I'm going to stick with who I said at the start of the year, even though it was a tough game for them. I think the Bills. I love Josh Allen. I love the Bills, and I know Logan Couture is going to love that.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's the biggest Bills fan on the planet.
Is that right, eh?
Huge. And
Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. That's a pretty good combination.
He got off to a slow start, but I mean, I never take week one in the NFL. None of those guys played preseason. 17 games. It's going to be, I think next week you'll see the big team. So,
in ending, when you saw the Carolina offer sheet at Kotkaniemi for $6.1 million, you immediately thought what?
I mean, I'm sure he's a great kid, but I laughed.
And guess what? He's laughing now, and he will for the next year at least.
100%. So, kid got his bag, and I mean, we're in the business of supporting the players. We're all part of the PA. So if one guy wins, we all win. So I mean, good for him. And I mean, it was a nice little. Carolina can say it wasn't a dig, but I mean, who knows? It's behind closed doors. Jason
Demers, I'm sure we'll be seeing you playing in the National Hockey League for this upcoming season and a couple of seasons thereafter. All the best to you and your family. Good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks, man. There you have it. Jason Demers, the Sick Podcast.